I want you to just look around for a second. Look at the lamp on your desk. Or maybe the window.
Just notice the light.
Yeah, notice the light hitting the floor. Because it feels like the most objective, solid thing in the world, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, the sun burns, the light travels through space, it hits the floor, and there it is. It's independent of you. It's totally indifferent to you.
That's the standard assumption, yeah.
But I've been reading the source material you sent over for today's deep dive. It's called "You Make the Sun Shine."
A provocative title.
Very. And frankly, it's giving me a bit of an existential crisis. Because if I'm reading this right, it's basically arguing that until I actually looked at that patch of floor.
The light technically wasn't there.
Right. Which sounds crazy. It sounds like a motivational poster from the 90s.
You make the sun shine.
Exactly. I fully expected a picture of a cat hanging from a branch saying, "Hang in there," or something. But this isn't self-help at all, is it?
No, not even close. It's actually a really rigorous, slightly vertiginous dive into physics, optics, and what we call the observer effect.
Okay, so break that down for us. What is the actual mission of this text?
The mission is to completely dismantle the assumption sitting at the root of modern physics. And that assumption is that the universe is a stage that's already completely set up before the actors walk out.
Which, to be fair, is what we're all taught.
Absolutely. The standard Newtonian training says we live in an indifferent, mechanical, self-running universe.
Like a giant clockwork machine.
Right. Planets orbit, stars explode, trees fall. And the standard role of humans in all of this is just as an afterthought.
With the security camera in the corner.
That's a great way to put it. We record the footage, we witness it, but we don't change the scene just by being there.
Okay, so what's the pivot? Because this text goes in a completely different direction.
The pivot is the counter-argument that observations are actually structural acts.
Structural acts, like load-bearing.
Yes. The idea is that your presence determines the world that is permitted to exist.
Permitted. That's a strong word.
It is. The text suggests that the sun doesn't just shine at you, it shines with you. We are going to explore how we are active participants in creation, not just passive spectators.
And why the sun technically does not shine until you look at it.
Which is a huge claim to make.
It's massive. And honestly, it starts to sound a little like solipsism. Like, oh, nothing exists but my mind.
Right, the old, if I close my eyes, the universe disappears trick.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if I get up in the middle of the night and walk into my coffee table in the pitch black, my shin is still going to hurt.
It will definitely hurt. And the text is not arguing that matter disappears. It's arguing about the form that reality takes.
The form?
Right. It's a difference between the raw data of the universe and the picture we see. And the best way to decode this is to look at the first analogy the source uses.
Oh boy. The tree.
The falling tree.
I genuinely rolled my eyes when I read that part. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound?
It's the ultimate cliche.
It's dorm room stoner philosophy.
Yep.
Everyone knows the answer is yes. Obviously, it makes a sound.
But does it? Let's look at the actual physics perspective from the source. Strip away the philosophy. A giant oak tree smashes into the forest floor.
Okay.
Physically, what is actually happening in that exact moment?
Well, there's kinetic energy. There's a massive impact.
Right. The wood strikes the earth. That impact displaces the air around it.
It creates a wave.
A pressure wave. Spheres of compressed air start radiating out from the crash site at 760 miles per hour. That is the physical reality.
The air pressure is fluctuating.
Exactly. There is a wave, there is local disturbance, there is motion. But is motion the exact same thing as sound?
See, I want to say yes, but I feel the trap closing on me here.
Think about the biology of it. Sound is a decoding process.
Okay, walk me through the decoding.
That pressure wave is traveling through the woods. It is completely silent. It's literally just pushing air molecules back and forth.
It's just wind, basically.
Just vibration. It only becomes sound when it hits a very specific, highly evolved piece of biological architecture. An ear.
It has to vibrate the eardrum.
It has to wiggle the tiny bones, stimulate the cochlea, trigger those little hair cells.
The cilia.
Yes, the cilia, which then fire an electrical signal into a brain. Without that ear to receive and decode the vibration, there is, as the source beautifully puts it, motion, but not music.
Motion, but not music. So the sound isn't in the air.
Sound is not in the air. Sound is what the receiver decodes.
So a forest with no ears in it is completely silent.
It is a chaotic ocean of silent, vibrating pressure. We bring the noise.
Okay, I can concede the tree. Mechanically, that makes total sense. But the text pivots from a falling tree to something vastly bigger.
It goes after the broader universe.
Right. It goes after the sun. And this is where my brain starts to reject it because light feels different. Light feels absolute.
It feels absolute because our reliance on it is so total. We are visual creatures. But the mechanism is exactly the same. The text uses a radio analogy to explain this.
All right, the radio. Let's dig into that.
Think about the room you're sitting in right now, or the car you're driving in. Is there music playing in the empty air?
No, the air is quiet.
But if you turn on a radio device and tune it to a specific station, suddenly there's a pop song.
Or a deep dive.
Or a deep dive. Now, was that audio there before you turned the device on?
The frequency was there. The invisible radio wave was there.
Oh, exactly. The sun operates the same way. It is a giant transmitter emitting a wash of invisible frequencies.
Electromagnetic radiation.
Yes. The sun is fusion bombing the solar system with radiation. It travels 8 minutes across the vacuum of space.
But it's not bright.
It's not bright in the vacuum. It's just electromagnetic potential. It only becomes light, that dazzling, warm, yellow brightness, when it hits the radio.
And we are the radio.
Our senses are the radio. The eye and the brain decode that invisible wave into recognizable light.
I really struggle with the idea that space itself is dark even right next to the sun.
It is the courier versus relationship concept.
Yes. Explain that, because that part of the text was fascinating.
We usually operate under a huge misconception about how light works. We think of light like a courier service.
Like a delivery guy.
Right. The sun packs up a bright little box called light, hands it to a courier, the photon, and the photon drives it across space to your eye.
You sign for the package, you open it, and boom, brightness. The light was in the box the whole time.
That's the misconception. The source argues that light is not a courier. Light is an encounter. It's a relationship.
A relationship between the observer and the environment.
Exactly. The equation isn't just sun equals light.
What's the real equation?
Radiation plus atmosphere plus eye plus brain equals the translation into color and warmth.
So it's a chemical reaction.
They need both halves to get the result.
Okay, let me push back on this.
Yep.
Seriously push
Yeah,
back.
correct.
Because the sun is hot, it physically burns things. If every human died tomorrow, wouldn't the pavement still get hot in July? Wouldn't the ice cap still melt? That energy is real. It's objectively happening, regardless of my biological radio.
You're completely right. And the text doesn't deny that. The energy transfer is objective. The photons are really agitating the molecules of the pavement.
So the heat is real.
The physics of the energy is real. But the text is talking about the qualitative experience of it. The pavement gets hot, but it doesn't experience warmth.
Okay, I see the distinction.
The sun emits radiation, but it doesn't shine visually without an eye to perceive the shine.
So the universe without us is just this blind, mechanical data stream.
It's a data stream without a monitor.
Wow. That makes humans, or any observing animal, really sound incredibly important. Like we are the graphics card for the universe.
We are the render engine. That's a brilliant way to put it. But here's the catch.
There's always a catch.
We have a very limited, very specific driver installed on our graphics card.
Oh, you're talking about the X-ray thought experiment.
Yes. This shows just how arbitrary our version of reality really is. Because visible light is just a tiny, tiny slice of the frequency spectrum.
The whole rainbow, everything we can possibly see, is just a fraction of a percent of what's actually out there.
Exactly. We are essentially blind. Now, imagine a thought experiment where your eyes were swapped out.
Swapped out for what?
For sensors that could only decode X-rays. You can't see visible light anymore, only X-rays.
The text says if we did that, the sun would reveal an entirely different world.
Completely different. If you looked up at the sun with X-ray eyes, you wouldn't see a steady, comforting yellow circle.
What would you see?
You would see a violent, chaotic storm of high-energy flares. The sky wouldn't be blue. Your own skin would look completely translucent.
You just see the bones of everyone walking past you.
Yes. Two people could be standing in the exact same room, looking at the exact same sun, but inhabiting totally different worlds based entirely on what their senses permit.
Based on what they can decode.
Right. Reality hasn't changed. The room is the same, but the permission has changed.
So our reality is just whatever our specific biology gives us permission to see.
We are swimming in an infinite ocean of information. We filter out almost all of it, and we call the tiny drop that's left reality.
That perfectly sets up the Nikola Tesla connection mentioned in the source.
It does. It validates that famous quote.
To understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
People love to put that on t-shirts and coffee mugs.
You really do. It sounds so mystical.
But the source shows how rigorous the physics behind that quote actually is. Because matter, motion, energy, they are all just patterns in an oscillating field.
And this brings up a phrase from the text that I really had to pause and think about. The stiffness of the field.
Yes, impedance.
Stiffness is such a weird word to use for empty space.
It is, but it's crucial wave mechanics. Think of a guitar string.
Okay.
If the string is completely loose and floppy, and you pluck it, what happens?
Nothing. It just kind of flops there. No sound.
Right, it can't carry the wave, it has no tension. But if you tighten it, if you increase the stiffness of the string...
It sings. It vibrates.
Exactly. The electromagnetic field has to have a certain resistance, a certain stiffness, for waves to travel. And the text notes that only a specific range of the field is stiff enough to be expressed as radiance by our senses.
So if the field vibrates at the right tension, our eyes catch it and we see light.
And if it vibrates at a different
It
tension,
just loops right through us.
we are completely ghost-like to those other frequencies. So when you look up at the dark night sky, it's not actually dark.
It's blindingly bright.
Blindingly bright with radio waves, gamma rays, microwaves. But our biological receiver just isn't tuned to that stiffness.
That makes an empty room feel very, very crowded.
Which is the perfect segue into the quantum theory part of this text.
I knew we'd get to quantum physics eventually. Every deep dive into reality always ends up here.
It's unavoidable. You simply cannot talk about the observer creating reality without talking about the observer effect.
This is the idea that photons behave like a wave until they are looked at, and then they suddenly act like particles.
Yes, the act of observing literally shapes the perceived object. It forces coherence into particulars.
Coherence into particulars. Break that down for me.
Before you look, a photon is a wave of probability. It's coherent. It could be anywhere. It's just potential.
And then you measure it.
And the wave function collapses. It becomes a particular particle in a particular place.
And the text applies this quantum concept to the sun itself.
Which is mind-bending. The expert suggests a metaphor here. We shouldn't think that the sun shines.
We should think that it hums.
Yes, the hum.
I love that concept. Just a constant, broad, silent frequency hum.
It is humming with potential. The universe is entirely filled with this potential light.
Just waiting for a decoder.
Waiting for us. You step outside, you turn your face to the sky, your retina intercepts the wave, and boom.
You collapse the wave.
You force the universe to decide what it looks like in that exact moment. The hum becomes the shine.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of video games.
How so?
Like those massive open-world games. To save processing power, the console doesn't render the whole world at once. It doesn't draw the mountains behind you if you aren't looking at them.
It only renders what's in your field of view.
Exactly. As you turn your camera, the trees and buildings literally pop into existence.
That is a shockingly perfect analogy for what this physics text is arguing. The universe works like a rendering engine.
So perception finishes what the sun began.
That's the synthesis. That's the core thesis of the entire text. The morning light is not a delivery. It is a translation that you and the sun perform together.
We're actively participating in creation every second our eyes are open.
You are. And that means traditional physics, while the math is correct, is actually incomplete.
Because it treats instruments as passive.
Exactly. It treats a thermometer or a camera or an eye as an unbiased observer. But they are actually translators and condensers.
So we have to undergo a massive philosophical shift here.
We do. We have to stop confusing the interface for the actual code.
So to wrap this up, let's connect it back to you, the listener. Why does this matter?
It matters because it completely changes that feeling of cosmic insignificance.
Yeah, that feeling when you look at the stars and feel like a totally meaningless speck of dust.
Right. But if this text is accurate, that insignificance is a lie. You aren't just living in a pre-built world. You are structural to its very appearance.
Light and heat are events of perception, not just cargoes of matter.
But you bring the color. You bring the sound.
That is deeply empowering. But it also leads me to a really wild final thought based on the source's conclusion.
Let's hear it.
So the source concludes that instruments only reveal what they're designed to detect.
Right. Our reality is defined solely by what our biology can decode.
So if you are sitting in a room right now, you see walls, you see a desk, that is just the specific radio station you are tuned to.
Just your slice of the spectrum.
Exactly. So my provocative thought for everyone is this. What vast, structured realities exist right now in the very room you are sitting in that you simply lack the biological receiver to perceive?
Oh, wow.
Like, they're entirely different physics, entirely different structures standing right next to you, humming with potential, but you just don't have the hardware to collapse them into reality.
It's like a blind man assuming the room is empty just because he can't see the furniture. We could be sharing space with unimaginable complexity.
We're just ghosts to each other's frequencies.
That is a phenomenal takeaway.
It definitely changes how I'll look at an empty room. Well, we want to thank you for decoding this conversation with us.
You literally made the audio real just by listening.
We will see you on the next deep dive.